Well, good morning, folks. Cumberland Outdoorsman here with you again. And today we've got kind of a rainy, soggy, wet Saturday, so I won't be outdoors doing any hunting or fishing, camping, hiking, shooting, or whatever. Today I'm involved with an indoor activity that's directly related to yet another outdoor pursuit, and that's archery. What I've got going on here is I've got some wild turkey wings. These are from a gobbler that was harvested back in the spring. This is the right side, this is the left side, left wing and right wing. And I've kept them frozen because I always try to utilize as much out of any animal that I harvest for any purpose that I can come up with. And what I've done in the past is I've processed those wild turkey wings into fletchings for arrows, like what I've got here on these Easton aluminum arrows. Okay, these are Easton Superlight 2213. They're a XX75 shaft, and they've got 5-inch fletching on them. Now, I normally shoot a 4-inch fletching for my hunting arrows and a 3-inch for my target or tournament arrows, but I wanted to put these 5-inch fletching on these because I occasionally do use them for hunting purposes. And let me tell you, they stabilize those arrows very well. They fly just like a dart. Now, the wings of a wild turkey are quite large, and these front feathers, these primary feathers, are what we're going to be concerned with. You have these primaries, and then back here you have secondaries, but the primary feathers is what we want. And they're very stiff and very durable, because a wild turkey needs to have those qualities in the wing feathers to be able to get off the ground and maintain flight. Here I've got an illustration of a wild turkey. Here's one walking, and then here's one flying. You can see here where the primary feathers, the front leading edge of the wing here, these are the ones that we're going to be concerned with. Here you've got a wild gobbler that's strutting, and here he's exposing his wing feathers. So the barred front feathers are what we need because they have that stiff, durable quality to them that lends itself so well for arrow fletching. Now, traditionally, that's what's been used. Here I've got a wooden arrow. This is an arrow made out of Port Orford cedar. It's a crested shaft, and it has these wild turkey fletchings on it. These are also a right-hand helical. And throughout the history of archery, the way to stabilize a shaft has been using feather fletching. And I believe the American Indians actually used these wild turkey wing feathers for their fletching. So it just comes natural that we can still use them today. That being said, I have them on my aluminum arrows, but I've also used them on carbon shafts in the past, back when I used to shoot carbon. Here are some natural fletching. These are also, I think these are from a domesticated turkey. So there's no reason why you can't use these wild turkey fletchings on carbon shafts. And since carbon arrows are so popular nowadays, you know, you go out and you harvest a wild turkey and get the feathers from them, you can use that on your carbon shafts if you'd like. Now, it's much easier to use synthetic fletching. You know, it's just much more convenient to go out and buy the fletching that you want, or already previously fletched arrows. But if you want to add a little bit of nostalgic touch or a little bit of tradition to your archery equipment, then I would recommend you try this, or at least give it a try, you know, if you have some of these feathers on hand. Here's another type of wooden shaft. This is a footed shaft. It's also made out of Port Orford cedar. This one here has turkey fletching on it, even though it's dyed. This is dyed yellow. But it has a combination of two types of wood here. The lighter Port Orford cedar in the rear, and then this heavy, really tough, exotic wood that's very finely spliced together, as you can see. And these shafts are kind of expensive, but they're extremely durable because they have this very hard wood at the front, you know. at the front part of the shaft, and also gives it a natural weight forward quality. And these arrows fly just beautiful out of my recurve. I'm telling you, they're great. I've still got several of those on hand. But anyway, if you have any aversion to using this type of fletching, then by all means, go ahead and use the synthetic material that's available. But if you want to give this a try, I'm going to show you how to do this. There's some things that you're going to need. Let me get these arrows out of the way here. What you'll need are some tools. You're going to need a pair of these wire cutters, a good sharp pair of scissors like this, a mallet. You can use a rubber mallet or one with one of these nylon heads, a good sharp pocket knife or an X-Acto knife, and you're going to need a clamp. I've got some cheap plastic clamps here that I bought years ago. I used to fletch my arrows with these straight clamps, but I went to a commercial grade fletching jig and I haven't looked back. It's really the way to go. And you're going to need a chopper, okay? A way to chop the arrow fletching out. Here I've got one. This is a parabolic pattern. As you can see by the pattern here on the metal that's been imprinted on it, it has kind of a rounded edge to the rear, and that's what these are here. These are parabolic. Okay. There's also a shield cut, which is kind of a sharper shape here. I've made some last night for a friend of mine. These are left wing shield cut, 5-inch fletching here. There. And they have this concave shape to the rear and also more of a point here at the apex. So whatever pattern you like, you can choose any length that you'd like. You can go longer than 5 inches if you want to. You can do 5-inch fletching, 4-inch fletching, whatever it is you prefer. Here's a chopper that has the shield cut, as you can see, and right at the top there is an address where you can order these. Now, I didn't get mine from there. I got these from Three Rivers Archery. You can look that up online, but I think they're still available. I think they're still making these. So, if you want to cut out your own fletching, that's the most uniform way of doing it. You don't have to buy a chopper, but it really makes your fletching turn out professional looking, You can use a pair of scissors or like a small paper cutter type deal that has a blade that comes down, but the chopper is really the way to go, if you want nice uniform fletching and you want a good professional look. So let me show you how I do this. The first thing I do with these wings like this is I cut the quills off right at the bottom here and just trim them off the wing. I don't use these little feathers here, but I cut them off right about here, right close to the base of the. I mean, you can pull them out if you want to. You're just going to have to trim it off anyway. And then all wild turkey feathers, like this one here, they have this dividing line that runs all the way up the quill here. Okay, what we're going to have to do is split that. You're going to have to split that quill, and I'll show you how I do that here. I take my pocket knife, good sharp pocket knife, and just go right in the center of that quill and slice that. You can use an X-Acto knife if you want. But you want to go all the way down the full length of that shaft of that quill. This is pretty tough material here, so you have to work with it a little bit. Okay. Now, you have this thin leading edge of the feather left over. You can discard that. Now I've got all this material here to work with. You know, I could make one 5-inch or 6-inch fletch out of this one feather. If I want to, I can make 2 4-inch fletching out of this, or 3 3-inch fletchings out of one feather. So what I do is I take this clamp right here. This is a cheap old clamp that I bought years ago. I've had these kicking around, but they work pretty well for this purpose. And I think I'll make a couple of 4-inch fletching out of this. I'll go ahead and cut it here and here. Now I've got enough material left over here so that I can make 2 fletchings out of one feather, as you can see here. So now that I've got that cut, I go ahead and lock it into place. This is just my process. This is the way I do it. And then I sand this right here. You can either use a circular sander like this here, but you'll get your best results using a belt sander like the one I have here, because you have a nice flat surface here to work with. And the way I do it, I just turn it on. Now this is going to be a little bit loud because this sander is kind of loud, and I just run the bottom of the quill along the sanding belt here and get a nice smooth surface. You want to be careful how much you sand off. You don't want to go too far and sand all the way through the quill into the feather material. So you want some of this quill to stay on there so that you got a nice piece of fletching. All right, there you have it. Now I'll take my scissors and trim a little bit off of this leading edge right here. You can sand it off if you want to, but I just take a little bit off to kind of give it a more uniform width all the way across the bottom of that quill. Just like that. Now then, I'll take my chopper and make sure that you lay the feather in there with the front facing towards the front tip. That's correct. You don't want to go backwards like this because you'll ruin it. That's not going to work. You want to lay it in there just the way that the feather is going to lay on your arrow, or the fletching is going to lay on your arrow. And ease the chopper part of it down. Now make sure that the quill is up against this leading edge here, this guide. Give you a close-up here. Want to make sure that it's perfectly straight right here, all the way across. No gaps. You don't want this right here, okay, or the back facing up like that. You want it all the way even with that guide right there on each and every one. That way you have a nice consistent matching set of fletchings. Keep a little pressure on it once you get it in position, and then we'll take our mallet, cut it out. Now you've got a perfect piece of fletching right there. You know, that's going to work just fine. This is a 5-inch fletching. And I'll get all these processed out and fletch some arrows and show you that finished product in the end. Now, last night I processed a bunch of these left wing fletchings here for a friend of mine. I've got some more to make. I'm making enough for at least a dozen for him. And I'll get all these done and I'll store them in these plastic bags. Okay? You want to store all these feathers in plastic bags because, quite honestly, this is organic material and you'll get carpet beetles in here and they'll chew your fletching up. So keep them stored and keep them sealed in a plastic bag. You know, make sure they're shut all the way, that nothing gets in. And if you, here's another little tip. If you suspect that you may have a infestation of beetles and they might have gotten into your fletching, throw them into your freezer for about a week and it'll kill any invasive pests like that. Carpet beetles are a real nuisance. Well folks, this is later in the day. I cut out a bunch of fletching with those wild turkey wings that I showed you, and these are right wing fletchings. These are also the shield cut, so I'm going to fletch up a half a dozen aluminum shafts that I've got here, and one of them I'm going to be using a commercial type fletching just to show you that the wild turkey fletchings come out just as evenly and just as professional looking as the ones that you get commercially. What I've got in front of me here is a fletching jig that I got years ago. This does 6 arrows at a time, okay, 6 shafts at one time. So I'm going to go ahead and index these where they're all the same. And these clamps here are right hand helical clamps. And the way you fletch up these arrows is you put all your fletchings into the clamp, nice and even, just like that, okay? And get all of them ready before you get ready to apply the glue. You want to do each step, all 6 of them at one time, you know. You don't want to clamp one fletching and then put one arrow on and then put the glue down and then have to put another piece of fletching in another clamp. Go ahead and get all of your fletchings clamped first and get them ready. That way when you start applying glue, it'll all be in one nice fluid motion all the way across. But the first thing we need to do is clean all these arrows really well. And what I do is I use some triple-aught or quadruple-aught steel wool and rub the shafts down where I'll be applying the fletching, and then I take some lacquer thinner. You can also use denatured alcohol or acetone or any other kind of solvent like that. And you want to really clean these shafts well. They may look clean, but trust me, until you go over them like that, they're not really clean and pure. You know, you want to get all of the impurities off of there. There you can see. That's what I got off of that shaft, that yellowish looking gunk. You can tell when it's getting squeaky clean like that. So I'm going to go ahead and prepare all these shafts real quick. What it does, it makes the glue that you'll be using really adhere to the shaft very well. if there's any oils or anything like any kind of impurities on the shaft, it's not going to stick very well. So we want to make sure they all stick to the shafts and stay put. Don't need any fletchings flying off while we're trying to shoot the arrows. Alright, 3 of these are 2213 Easton Superlights, and 3 of these are 2013 Superlight XX75 Camo Hunters. The 2213s I'll be shooting out of my compound bow, and the 2013s I'll be shooting out of my recurve. So let me show you what I've got here. This is my fletching jig. I'm going to go ahead and get these arrows all set up. Well, one thing that's important is once you got these shafts clean, don't touch them with your fingers. Make sure they stay pure and clean, okay? You don't want any oils from your skin getting on the shaft. That doesn't matter what you're using, whether it's aluminum, carbon, or wood. You want to make sure they stay nice and clean. And it also makes sure that the surface of each shaft is completely dry. Don't want any moisture or any unnecessary impurities on these shafts when you get ready to glue the fletchings on. It's okay to grab them up here where you're not going to fletch them, but don't touch them back here where the fletching is going to be applied. Okay folks, now I've got all my arrow shafts mounted into my fletching jig, and I've got all of my fletching loaded into the fletching clamps, nice and even. So now I can just apply glue and work my way right across. That way I can knock all of them out. And the type of glue I like to use is this Fletchtight. This is made by Bohning, B-O-H-N-I-N-G, and this is their Fletchtight Platinum. I've still got a fresh tube here, but I'm finishing one up here. So let me show you how I do this. Okay, I've already got these 3 fletched up, and what I mean by that is I've already applied the glue. Now I'm just waiting for it to dry. This stuff dries pretty quickly. If you use carbon shafts, you want to use another type of adhesive, but for aluminum and wooden shafts, this works pretty well. This will work on carbon shafts also, you know, so don't be afraid to try it. I've used it in the past and have had good success with it. Make sure you got it seated on there, wiggle it a little bit, make sure it's settled in. And then you want to apply a nice even bead all the way down on the bottom of the fletching, on the quill of the fletching, that is. Okay, just all the way down. Try not to get any on the clamp. It's okay if you get a little bit on there, but don't overdo it because the clamp will stick to your fletching. Now you can see this tube's about had it. I need to get a fresh tube. But I'm going to go ahead and finish using it out here. Okay. On to the next one. Well, this is actually the last one. Alright. Now all I got to do is let them dry, and then we'll go to the next fletching. Okay folks, here's a different view of my fletching jig And I've already taken the liberty to install the second fletching on all these arrows, and I'm going to go ahead and load another set of fletching. That'll be the final one for all these arrows. And what I'm talking about as far as the incremental positions, as you can hear when I turn this knob right here, you'll hear a definite click right there. And then that's the position that I'll put this last fletching in, so that they're all evenly spaced. So let me go ahead and get all these clamps loaded, and we'll finish out this fletching job. Okay, now that the glue is fully dried and cured, it's been over an hour now since the last fletching. It really doesn't take all that long, but I wanted to make absolutely sure. We're going to go ahead and remove all the clamps. Okay, before I take these off of the fletching jig and start shooting them, here's a little tip that I like to share with you. I like to put a dab of glue right here at the back of the fletching of each one, and also on the front. Just like that. Just a little dab. Don't worry so much about the little individual strands of glue that string off of there. They'll come off pretty easily. Once again, just right here at the front of the fletching. You can wipe off any excess if you want. Because this stuff dries pretty thin. Okay. Give you a better view here. One little dab right at the corner there. Just like that. What this does, it just kind of helps reinforce the adhesion to the shaft. These arrows go through a lot of shock, believe it or not. You know, it's one of those things you're going from over 200 miles an hour to 0 in just a split second whenever it hits the target. And also all the stress that these arrows go through when they leave the bow. Just a quick little tip for you. I'm going to go ahead and finish all the rest of these, and when they get done, we'll take them out and give them a try. See how well they shoot. Well folks, I got these arrows off of the fletching jig, and they're good and dry now. Everything's cured up and they're ready to shoot. Got a variety of targets down here. I've got a couple of javelina 3D pigs, and then I've got just a regular standard block type target. It's got a bear on the front of it. So let's give these a try. These are 5-inch shield fletching from a wild turkey. I'll get this one knocked up and on the bow here, and I'm going to go ahead and shoot at that javelina there. Try to zoom in just a little. Here we go. I'm shooting at the one on the left. It's about 25 yards. Okay, it's a little bit low. Still in the kill zone. Now I'm going to shoot at the one on the right. Okay, and this one here I'm going to be using conventional fletching here. See if there's any difference in the point of impact. Once again, shooting at the one on the right. A little bit low. I think I dropped my bow arm just a little bit. Let me pull those arrows and let's try that again. Okay, I'm going to aim at the javelina pig that's in the middle, actually the one on the right there, between the two targets, and using this older arrow. This is an older Easton mossy oak arrow, fletched with wild turkey fletching. That's right on the money. Beautiful shot. Beautiful flight on that arrow too. Okay, I'm going to try and put this one right there with it. Same target. Boy, that's right in there with it. Okay, and this arrow here I'm going to put into the left target. Try not to group them too close because I don't want to hit my arrows. This is using conventional feather fletching, commercial grade. That's flying pretty good, actually. That's a little bit far back, but pretty good shot. There you can see those two arrows grouped real close together, right in the kill zone. And then that one there is right behind the shoulder as well. I know that target's a little bit shot up, but still, you get a general idea. That's a double lung hit out of both arrows, or all three arrows. Okay, now I'm going to try the bear target with the bullseye in the middle. I think these arrows will go right through that target. Not real sure. I believe that's nearly a dead center hit right there. Now it's a little bit to the right, just a tad. Okay, now I'm going to go for the piggy on the right once again. And now for the little piggy on the left. Arrows are flying just like darts, I mean. Okay. That one went just a tad high. about 2 inches high there. All right, now I'm going to test these arrows out, make sure they hit pretty well close together. That way I know that their flight characteristics are all the same. So I'm going to be aiming for the bullseye on that bear there, the center of the chest. Not sure if I'm in it. I think I'm still in the 10 there. A little bit to the right and high. I believe that's almost dead center right there. Oh, those are flying good. I believe that stacked right there with them. Yeah, I got 2 of them almost dead center, and that one is still in the 10, but it's right at the edge of the 10. All right, approaching this target, I can see I've got 2 arrows that are almost dead center, right there in the bullseye, and then this one's about 1.5 inches, still in the 10. It's right on the line there, but you know, that could have been me. That's not necessarily the arrow's fault. I'm still nursing my shoulder, so you know, that kind of shooting there can be expected. I should have all 3 of those right in there together, but that calls for some pretty fancy shooting. That's plenty good enough to go deer hunting with, though, that kind of accuracy there. Okay, across the yard here I've got a deer target, whitetail buck, right at the edge of the woods there. He's about 32 yards or so. Very realistic looking target, because deer like to hang around forest edges like that. Let's see what kind of shots we can make with these wild turkey fletchings on that deer. Okay, that's a kill shot for sure. I believe that one's right next to it there. A little bit to the left. I should be aiming a little bit more to the right because if it's slightly quartering away, so let me do that. Really got to think about where those arrows are going to come out on the other side. Yeah, that's a little bit better. That's slightly to the right. Now that's right behind the shoulder. That arrow would come out perfect on the other side. I'd get a perfect double lung hit with that shot right there. You want to hit both lungs. A deer hit like that won't go very far, folks. Okay, folks, this is a shot at 45 yards on that little black javelina pig using Illuminox and wild turkey fletching. I think that showed up pretty well there. That shot is just a little bit low, but it's still in the kill zone. Let me try that one more time. Okay, that was a shot right through the top of the heart, right between the lung and the heart region there. I need to hold just a tad higher, so I'm going to redo that shot, and I'm going to reset this Luminoc here. I'm going to be using these when I hunt this year. I've got a red one and a few of these green ones. And for those of you that don't know how to turn these Nox off, you don't want to leave them on because they'll run out of energy. I just take something sharp like this field point right here, and there's a little hole on the side right at the bottom there where you just push that piston back up and that turns the knock off. So let me try that shot again. I'm going to hold just a tad higher and see where this one goes. I normally wouldn't be shooting at deer at this distance. That's a long shot, but you know, it's good practice, because if you can hit the vitals on something as small as that javelina pig at this distance, then that just boosts your confidence for later on when the deer season rolls around, because most of your shots are going to be 15 to 25 yards. You know, that's your average bow shot. Okay, once again, I'm shooting at the javelina pig just to the left of that bear target. Okay, that's right there, right in the shoulder actually. That's a shoulder shot. Still would go through the lungs. Well, I hope the camera captured the flight of that arrow. I wanted to put those luminox on there to see if there was any deviation or any wiggling or helicoptering or anything in those arrows, but they look like they flew just straight. I'm going to wait till it gets a little darker, and I'm going to shoot the red luminox at the white target and to see how that arrow flies. Once again, using wild turkey fletching. So we'll wait a little while and we'll take a shot then. Well, boys and girls, I know I can hit him with my compound pretty well. I mean, within 35, 40 yards, any deer come in, I should get a kill shot just about every time using these wild turkey fletchings. But now I'm going to try my recurve bow. This is a Martin X200. This 60-pound bow. It's a little bit too much for me right now, but I'm going to give it a try anyway. I'm going to try shooting at that target first. I'll be surprised if I even hit the target, but both of these arrows are fletched with wild turkey fletching, 5-inch fletching, the same as on those other arrows. Only these are 2013. They're spined a little bit differently. So wish me luck. Maybe I can hit that target, I don't know. It's been a long time since I've shot this bow. That put it right in there. It's about 18 yards there, you know. Try that again. That one went too far back. Well, that's the first time I've picked up this bow in 15 years. One thing I can say though is both those arrows flew really well out of that bow. That first shot is actually a bullseye, but that was beginner's luck, believe me, because like I said, I haven't shot that bow in so long. It just happened to go right where I wanted it to. Well, let me try that again. See where these land. That's right above the bullseye. That's too high. I think I'm going to end up selling this bow and getting something with a little bit lower poundage. It says 55 pounds. Let's see. 55 at 28. So I'll put it on a scale. It's actually closer to 60. It's like 58, somewhere in there. And I shoot a 28-inch arrow, so. That one hit high again. That one hit right next to it. Okay. Let me try this again. Still a touch high. That's better. That's just a little bit left of the bullseye, but that's not too bad for a recurve that I haven't picked up in so many years now. I'll show you the shots here. You can see one went right to the left of the bullseye and one's just still up there in the white. One's in the 10 and one in the 9 there. So anyway, let me go pull those arrows. Well folks, here we are at 35 yards. It's kind of a long shot for a recurve, but I went ahead and put the Luminoc on here. I'm going to be shooting at that white target just to see how these arrows fly. Try to get that on video as well. Zoom in just a tad here. I'm not even sure I can hit that from here, but I'll give it a try. Well, that wasn't too bad. I think I hit pretty close to the bullseye actually at that distance using my recurve bow. I just wanted to see how that arrow would fly, and those Luminocs, they really illustrate the flight path of those arrows. This is kind of a test, really. That's the reason I did this video. Well, there it is, folks. 35 yards with a recurve. It knocked the target over, but not too bad of a shot. Like I said, you know, if I get a lighter bow than this and get used to shooting it, I think I can shoot pretty well using traditional equipment. But there's the old Luminoc. Shows you just how true that arrow flies using wild turkey fletching. Well folks, with a little bit lighter draw weight of a recurve, and using these aluminum arrows like I've been using, fletched with these wild turkey fletchings, I think I could probably go deer hunting, you know, if I can practice a little bit before the season. I'm not going to do that this year. I don't think so anyway. I'm going to be sticking with my compound because I'm shooting so well with it. And like I said, this is the first year that I've gotten back into it. But that just goes to show you that, you know, if you're throwing away your wild turkey feathers and you're an archer, you're kind of wasting a resource, because these wild turkey fletchings fly very true. If you do a good job in making them, you know, take a little time and effort to make them and cut them out where they're all uniform and consistent, they're very accurate. You know, good flyers, they naturally want to turn in the direction that they're oriented. So I don't see any reason why not to use them, you know. And if you don't like the white barring on them, there's dyes that you can use to dye these different colors. You know, you can go red, orange, yellow, blue, whatever you want. Or you can keep them natural like I have them here. So listen folks, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you learned a little something from it. For those of you that already know how to do this, this is nothing new to you. This is just the way I do it. And I get good results, as you can see. You know, if you got arrows that are hitting right next to one another, that's proof, you know, that's proof in the pudding right there, so to speak. So, you know, I'm going to keep shooting these, and I may actually try some arrows that I fletched using this material to go deer hunting this year. So, stay tuned. You know, who knows, I might give that a try. So remember, if you like to go hunting, fishing, shooting, camping, hiking, whatever it may be, I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. And until next time, remember, hit the like button and subscribe. That way you'll know when more videos like this will be coming your way. So until then, y'all take care of yourselves, stay safe, and get out there and enjoy the great outdoors. I'll see you next time.